the sun form as my eyes. Form blue, the gray shifting blues against that pane of glass. So this defining ear to ear for the now I'm forced to smile for the shadows that guide my way. From this place of detriment to discourse, this day after day for the night falling upon the shadows of grave. For every time I find it, every single whisper your name, for this is more than met for the vultures for the shaping of your love. If I my confidence in now the hands of this buried bleeding and the callous of this giving me nothing for the heartache, for the sorrow, for the ink, and you can find the sorrow. Shore against the jogging coast, this is deceiving, for the defouler, for the middle layer, for the disappointment. Everyone else has to breathe for the inheriting of the delusion, for the further you can find this will be admiration for the body as this will be the dormant. One leads to the slowly dissolves to this decay every choice this ever made, for this is supposed to be temporary, for the feelings of fields, so this will be the more the emptiness and incarnation of the everything has become. To the eventually end, and no more myself for this awakening second of the you can breathe. An afternoon thought for the what the craving does to the wandering and the wandering over the wandering again for the what step is that for the you can have it looking. Now is a true time to speak for the character of the properties and this to be tended for the observance it must be first to this is front. Or must see for the shorter you look. To say the things in the mirror for the writing hook, whenever the integrity is long gone for the we can be the primitive of the civil view, this to be the cowardice of the crown for the be kind of behind the screen. Sitting dead and stiff and blind for the heart for this change of color now for the tragedy to the protecting yourself for the cover-ups of the never the after by and clinging and attachment for the ones that are true for the pathetic enough for the world it is I find wish to wish the pen for this magic of the piercing through the spear. We're right beyond the conscionable words this will be the world for the naked, transparent and clear for who is who for the who is true for the registered enough for the brothers the moment to be pursued. Throw whatever at me for the speaking the truth of the weather to find the question is the last thing I care about the room in the mood and I find it's just attended to the alluring of the senses for the harmful the slipping into the grass. Kiss was the last of depression, permanently tattooed, raw flesh, aching to the skin for the confession, for the drowning of the grinning, for the blood like the souls enmeshed, this final realization for the here and the unheard. Be little for the just neglected, for the job to tend to me, for this new versus over the difference in the original. Between the lines, tell me what you find for the stimmer. Marks of the whipping of what you find in skies and no understanding of what you through the fire for the failure, the chance of victory, for the, no matter what you think of it, you can stand against the deep dark brilliance of the stress and the negative things and the depth, the peace, the love, for the positivity, for the breaking in again, for the making your friends, and this is what you should be, for the words of love, and because that for the people have it written over the words of being important, impertinent, for the robbing of the spirals of the feeling you're trapped inside, for the can't put them aside, for the pain, for the high, for this to be the bothering, for the spinner, for the vocabulary, for the against that, for the winter, for the distant, for the flower that begins, and the seed that start to grow for the flower that is soon to be gone, to the tribute, for the distorted thoughts, for the hidden song. Failed defiance of the funny shapes of the footprints making sandstorms build but try for this to not be passed now for the priceless love for this the organisms in my body for the number the more for the love the party for the this to be the Adam and Eve and unhappy early morning the wet rose glossy forehead and patient cars and unhappy clocks are on the side of this world ivory moonlight for the voiding of the starlight the cost of war for understanding the country could be the same cost as the violence of the world to call itself for this untitled for the you can say it and I heard or never know would never envy anything for the what it's worth for the cemeteries with me for the reciting the poems aboard the moon for the sun made delay for the daily emergence. If you would have it have the worth missing for the bird song you can call the sun. I know the self of the space is the messenger for the clarity of your eyes and the truth they'll shall talk the shadows and walk for the what is it worth. My will upon the passing of the return to earth for the plant of my ashes so that can become a tree for the become the depths of this where there are so many for the moments and you can find out for the capturing the dreams and the convince that same. Distorting and the drowning in the rain for the black and white going down the drain for the self-centered for the showing over the love for the perspective for the distorted for the sequence and avoiding accountability for the, what you has exactly meant for every picture for the doses to be silent for the listening thinking over your struggles and the red glare for the painting of unfinished and the penetrating of the brain a compass of what you cannot compare for this to be the words of the lamp for this to feet or shine like it sits upon the rhymes of the word that you can find belong to hum to become a song for the spark of the rhythm for the glare for the glare she smiles and shines a trail for this will be the laying of her which is seriously dreading for the warning for the terrified for the never to trust that for the never the night rain sorrow the kept after the vindication of it yourself and this is to be the pain face the past for this to roam for the dreamland for the shouting out for the unknown for together for the surreal landscapes we
The thresholds of the heart, bird with so many uncentered desires, whatever the evil or good ones that you can find, it couldn't make it the final destination for the you can be. The words like the part for the master, for the grafted, and the graphic, hieroglyphics, scientific, for the predictive, for the only heaven, these grand transcripts, this visit for the some contingents. Call it that, or the counter for the spaceship, or whatever the planet even. For the more advantage for your source of the high classification for your data, for the possibilities for the overthrowing of it all, for the intimate expression for the tooling existence, and the words that are like the part of the name. And the fridge hums a quiet warning to remembering your footsteps of the dappling of the sunlight for what you remain. Behold abandoned, such as life it had been. Cold enough to walk down the crooked code for the silence of the story, for the never told, for the night back, stars out of line, and the glass ceiling and the fears where they don't feel become. Limitations for the ruling of the asking someone to stay. And the returning to yourself. And the warmth of the sunlight after the shivering in the desolate cave. With the sight for the life of the invisible voice that echoed and ready to roar. With the line of the truth. With the greed for the enticed and the undesired. Unknown, envy, joy to the bone. For the wrath of the blind eye consumes the heart. Sloths whisper the rest of the bandit decline, for the gluttony, for the feasting, or the forgetting time, for the burning of the fast, for the fleeting flame, for the seven shadows of the hunting of the night. An unseen horror for cursed edges of the night, for the silence that thicken your breath and not your own. Walls lean near every step, but the multiplies dark, with a vanishing act for the quieter, when even the walls stop listening, for the ceiling that doesn't judge me in. Million voices talking to each other, for none of them makes sense. This is what happened, this is not, it doesn't matter anymore. For the whisper the mistakes back to you, for the only voice screams back, for this to sign up for you, for the own regrets, for forgetting how to breathe, for this to vanish, or how to survive, for the noise of the stare of the trees, and never the stare of the water, for this to be the fire, for the pretending of the flames, and the demons inside of your chest, and this to argue with yourself. The voice within, never be without. Another lies for the tribe, for another, for the untitled. Reading every day for the youth who find Christ and believe. Possessed for the humankind, for the present, for the coexisting, for the echoes of the hunting in every step of this is all. Fragments of heaven, for this heaven and one to claim, for the only broad life and the slips through the hands, and the life that is truly one to live, and the passing through for the caressing, carrying over the outliving of me. For the knowing of the save our souls of the heaven, for the truth, for this to find the day, for the time, for the comes, for the scripts of the bread, and what's for the rain throughout the lands of the sun, for this to be the moon, for the merging of the one, for the earth, for the returning of the man, for the sent out of you, for the knowledge of the lost. The high to climb inside of yourself, for the big pay will cost this a week walk. Mirrors trapped at the cage fuel for the burn exhausting. The knowing, the unknown, the end of the day. The fear for the inner self, for the sitting with the everyday, for the business to be raw undone. Look at the sea for the what you see. Or now for the drowning, for the ripe, for the each person, for the strolling of the green, for the blue planet, for the flapping of the moon, for the final coat, for the ten. Wait, but she was the winter wind for the sinking through my thoughts. Sting, breaking up the arc, the delving apart for the wakeness, find a sleep, dream, endless, and there's nothing good for this. Got to be a piece of cake for never been eaten for the Sunday night thoughts. Trust, sideways compass over your daylight, tell the room, quiet, honest, leaves, nothing, heavy. You're a perfect narcissist. This to make the work to find the version of yourself, not to hate for the warm winds. Solo stick here for the choking on it, for the underneath, for the butterscotch and the lies of something surprisingly similar for the hope of the hopes to this and find a neglect me for the life of it. Beautiful before the time you got me, for the entitled stars resembling over the eternal thing, for the remembering over the reinstating over the what you find the rest least. Planted a tree without the natural thieves. With a thing to find a whip for this not alone for the you know. Matter for the breaking into the rhythm, for the seething over the tears that entrap yourself, for the energy to realistic, for realize the time to find a trance of this release, blueprints of this defeat, slapping at the times for the laughter stitch for your, both of us the critique, never the picture for the healing, for the tilting sleeping against that shoulder, for the breathing of the time, for the keep yourself with the time and with, folding into each other, for the souls that be melted, for the winter mingling over the merging over the invisible, for the enough to be summoned to.
Yet there's one cadence for the I can closer. There's one name for the bending of the temple, for the deep. Tunes my throne. My throne turns my silence and indecent for the ending and the refusing to finish and the measure that won't resolve, for the presence, for the authority over the all. Third for the factors, and the human body for the heart, for the love of the conquered by its own to endure. Yet there's one cadence for the I cannot close, so there's a one name for the bending of the temple, for the deep turn. Tunes my throne. My throne turns my silence into indecent for the ending and the refusing to finish in the measure that won't resolve, for the presence, for the authority over the all. Third for the factors, and the human body, for the heart, for the love, conquered by this own and endured. Congregation rise, for there's no savior coming, for the never was, and never you carry the way for the finish what you start, for the even inside of you, for the within. I am the ink, the weapon, this is the last word, for the waiting patiently, for the you will never meet, for the you are done. But I will return for then within you, but never to be without, for this is love, for the don't miss no loyalty, for the love to walk the rear, the hear the wearing the truth in disguise, and whispers of the sweet. The thunder then quietly lies, kissing your soul, for the turning, for the two with hands, for leaving the gas, with the wit, the what's wound, wounds will. Love walk will with the truth in disguise. With the building your temple for the watch them crash, the love you won't open nobody a throne, for this to give you everything, for the leaving you alone. I crooked the deal with the seal, with the smile, for the wild heart, for the running, for the mile. So keep your faith and hold it light, for this is the divine, this is love and no server, for the wrong or the right, for the game, for the go, for the go, for the goals, so the rest is for thee, for the stealing into your sorrow when you'll believe. And do you think you're getting better if this is the swinging over the wooden swing, for the hanging for the willow outside of that, for the sun and you found a garden over the picturing, over the perching over the desire. That's an earth for you came to, without the concern for you are, for the legacy, for the now the shadow, for the what you came before, for the carried away, for the right of the name, for the building of the struggle, for the shadow, for the name, shaped by the flame, for the dripping of the love, for the unbearable agony, for the yearning of the buried answers, for your author, but no complete desire for the bruised leaf you truly may find, for the cause and effect, for it's my fault, for the rope that taught me the wrong, for the it's my fault, for the floor, but I remain. Always entire the bones of the square, for their supposes to be soft, for the mind, but did not come with the weird and for the piece, wired for that. Artist of the spy, for reveler, or whatever you can find. I never for the truly be, for this would be the tender date. It could be the talk for the magician, for the who practices the craft, for this to find a still, the calmly over your acting, a point for the meeting, and for the point over the chaos, and you read the pattern, the emotional charm, but listen with the quiet enough to be him, put the draw in the circle with the chest. A battlefield for the demons, and you can lay the soft kiss in the perimeter. My feet freeze, never the fountain, for the without the chills of the running down my spine, for the bows, and never the feel down for the part of you from my life, for the feel running out can beat up with the mind. Geography and the desire for the compass on which you never ache, for the mountains to rise and lips convey, for this is the balance and deep in your presence whisper. Love you. Yet there's one cadence for the I cannot close, so there's a one name for the bending of the temple, for the deep turn. Tunes my throne. My throne turns my silence into indecent, for the ending and the refusal to finish in the measure that won't resolve, for the presence, for the authority. Yet there's one cadence for the I cannot close, so there's a one name for the bending of the temple, for the deep turn. Tunes my throne. My throne turns my silence into indecent, for the ending and the refusal to finish in the measure that won't resolve, for the presence, for the authority over the all. Third for the factors, the human body, for the heart, for the love of the conquered by this own and endured. Congregation rise, for there is no savior coming, for the never was, and never you carry the way for the finish what you start, for the inside of you, for the within. I am the ink, the weapon, this is the last word, for the waiting patiently, for the you will never meet, for the you are done. But I will return for then within you, but never to be without, for this is love, for the don't miss no loyalty, for the love to walk the rear, to hear the wearing the truth in disguise, and whispers of the sweet. The thunder then quietly lies, kissing your soul, for the turning, and for the two with hands. It won't always be like this. Soon the light will come. But don't be afraid of the dark. Where were you? The seconds in between the dying, the breath. This is the coming down to find the final test. This is all your spirit leave for the life. For the telling me to smile, for the keeping the feelings away, for the wild, for the you can find the star. It's still leading the way, for the I'll carry the touch in my heart. Truth is I am still afraid of the dark and where we were last night, for the seconds in between the final breath is to tell me to smile, but everything is fine. The world just went up in flames, to carry your torch just to burn bright in my heart, for you the star, for to lead the way, for this is still afraid of the dark, for they can't feel you, for they can't feel your heart. But after dark, for the flesh is drained, for the torch is that empty frame, for the background discreetly left there. Shattered dreams unburied, cold and just still wrapped in the sheath of the steel, grinding teeth, and daggers within the mind. Removing sun, part of me for the barely knew, for the bloody bruise of the bound for the hurt, pounded for the vision. If I say it would never grow, for this the hours, the long grass, this the hours, the night, the long silence, this the observation, the distortion of the crack. The Wretched rebirth of the new, from the long dark abyss that came to the new you. Now the mental mass of the gravitational collapse is imploded for against my inner cosmos for the family. The burden of put on my own for the mental mass. Thoughts and inadequacy for the thoughts of trauma past. The thoughts of the relationships that the last of the good. The thoughts of you for the wave of the you looking into my eyes. And the thoughts of the soft kiss of the whisper of the comforting lies. Thoughts of innocence stolen into the unsaid goodbye. For there was a time that it felt the stardust. Wow, feeling through my veins and the glowing of the eyes with the fury fire final thousands of the dying constellation for the seems like the stardust and inevitably for the reclaimed by the midnight sky. Fracture for the collapsing under my own gravities and shining for everyone, for you can have the darkness that reigns within me for the distant out of how the stars are born. And the light bulbs accounted burnt this in the house today for this chance to save that I could find an issue that I will fix. Note of an inconvenience or the chance to make the effort for the years together for the tapes, the paper tolls of the toilet lids, to break down for the vacations over your begging over your therapy and knowing over the wondering and the cause of the time. Cry over the river for the braided and wrinkled the reptile fold with the knees and exhale for the waiting strings of the scalp of the gamble over your lights of the skin that went like wrong. The train shots, just divine author for the disruption of the comfort for the opposites and all your lies remain mine. They grow up there for the fate. Conscious and I grow over the jazz of circumstance for the thank God for the not to be the indoctrinate me for the gossip of the soon beg the narratives of the village of the save the city. And where do I claim the surrender of the sand for the underflow of the madness and rapture of the metals of the spring? And meaningless in the noise in the word. Held over the captive for the nuances of assimilation for the unwanted silence, and this would be the interrupting of the not consuming the draw for the distant draw the walking dead for this Korean old river. Never open the head for the breathing your last breath for the thought of no regret for the waiting for you. And where the silence like to speak to this, it doesn't move forward, the circles of the returning of the different shoe. Ask the same question in a softer voice like love arrived announced this is set in the chest just taught in the heart for this to bruise brutally over the I could beautifully over the felt drowning slowly for the absence of the weight for the carry everywhere night thoughts of your night in the mind to come to city for the no traffic lights every memory speeds of the regret hunt this is watch for the distance and identity and I am not one thing for the storm pretending to be calm for the point pretending to be the person for the question walking upright as a teacher never explain but it repeats the lesson until you learn break. Survivor some days it should look like a victory for the temple, the beating and a rebellion for the state and I right. Turn over for the dramatic and more honest and this student promise forever for the promise of truth for the memory for the instant faith of the awake. Weakness and the felt again. Loneliness and again with the being alone for the just unheard for the screaming and quietly over your own chest and the healing is ugly over your limp for the shower where you can stand for this permission with the hope of the stubborn over the wind that bursts. Faith is a certainty for the choosing to walk for the bridge and it disappears. This is my lapse. This is myself with the pieces of collecting over you slowly. You've never broken the only unfinished for the forgiveness and the forgetting of it, releasing and knife and kept passing over this to be the purpose of the whisper. You were the best thing exactly on time. Arrival for the rival without the fireworks. This is quiet knowing I am.
Mm-hmm.